The Jalen Hurts situation really started out as a player that's had a few bad games, and while it could potentially become a detriment down the line, the story would have never reached the point where it's at without the comments of AJ Brown and Brandon Graham. Although some situations reach a point where that is exactly what is needed, and for a team that is expected to go deep into the playoffs, struggling through the air for a month now, one might say they've reached that. The first question that must be answered is, what exactly is wrong with Jalen Hurts? Where did the confident player that went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage go? The easy answer to this is that he was a product of Shane Steichen. Now, I won't sit here and argue against it, but claiming Hurts was simply a puppet under Shane's strings is giving Steichen a disproportionate amount of the credit. Sure, he has the innate ability to simplify the offense and get his quarterback in rhythm, but it's the zone a quarterback enters once he gets them there that separates a run-of-the-mill game manager from a game changer. And for those 17 weeks in 2022, Jalen Hurts was undoubtedly the latter. The biggest difference between now and then is that Jalen is simply not trusting his eyes, which is resulting in an almost uncomfortable presence in the pocket, increasing the difficulty of every situation that presents itself. The biggest tell for this has been in recent weeks with his consistency in making what is supposed to be the layups look hard. It really reminds me of how the guy they played this weekend started the year, Bryce Young. Bryce looked like one of the worst quarterbacks of the last decade, but he was able to turn it around via Canales being patient, slowly building up his confidence until Bryce began to operate subconsciously. I've talked a lot about comfortability and the need to get Jalen in rhythm, so we're going to start with his very first drop back of the game. Backed up on first down, the Eagles sit in a 1st and 18. Kellen Moore is going to run a sail concept to the short side of the field. The Panthers are running cover 3 out of nickel, so it really just becomes filtering the flat and the deep third. The ball is snapped, and initially J.C. Horn gives chase to A.J. Brown driving upfield. As the play develops, A.J. Brown does a fantastic job really selling his route inside, to which Horn responds by passing him off, cutting upfield to try and make a play on Devontae Smith running the sail, leaving the deep third vacant, so when Brown makes his cut towards the sideline, there is nothing but green grass. Now, whether Jalen didn't see it or didn't feel confident in the decision is subjective. What isn't though is that this is a play that needs to be made. No matter what Jalen thinks in that pocket, the decision to take the shot is a winning play. Maybe not so much right now, but come playoff time when the big plays are few and far between, missing out on the busted coverage to take the free 5 is just as bad as shooting yourself in the foot. Now, let's get into his process because that's really the point here. The last play was just a missed opportunity. Same drive backed up again, 3rd and 18. We're going to get hitches to the sticks from Dotson and Smith at the bottom of the screen. The Panthers are going to play cover 6 with 2 man at the top of the screen, meaning if Jalen reads the play right, there should be a hole for him to hit Dotson in. At the snap, Jalen is reading Devontae because if the middle backer sits down on him, that opens up the previously mentioned hole for Dotson. Jalen, though, is so late to recognize it that he hits his back foot without having it processed. By the time he comes off of Devontae, Dotson essentially is out of his break, the ball is late, and the window closes. Once again, while this wasn't huge in the outcome of this game, it just shows a complete lack of rhythm and recognition within the pocket. If Jalen cannot be on time, efficiently pushing the ball down the field, it is going to create a one-dimensional team that better defenses can and will effectively game plan against. In an effort to hammer home process over results, let's fast forward to Devontae's touchdown just before half. More importantly, the play that probably set A.J. Brown off. 2nd and goal from the 4. The Eagles are going to run a basic pick play using Dotson as a decoy with Devontae just clearing out his man. To the Eagles' advantage, the Panthers are in cover 1, so if executed, Dotson would screen A.J.'s man, allowing him to walk in for a touchdown. Snap of the ball, that is exactly what happens. Dotson does a fantastic job. A.J. Brown is wide open. There isn't a soul around him. For some reason though, unbeknownst to anyone, Jalen doesn't take it. Instead, he opts for Devontae in the one-on-one. It's things like this. The play is designed perfectly. Just hit him. There is no need to make it more difficult than it needs to be. There are points when you must manage a game and points where you can take the shot. From inside the opponent's 10 when there is a design beater in the concept is not the time to go off script and take the shot. Earlier in the game when AJ was streaking, that's when you take the shot, not now. It doesn't matter that they scored, it is point blank the wrong decision. Despite these plays from just the first half of last week, many still claim it's one game. Now, I love Jalen, but this has not simply been one game. This has been a trend for weeks now. For this, we jump back a week to their matchup in Baltimore. Once again, the very first drop back of the game. The options are Paris Campbell Campbell sitting down, Jahan Dotson running a deep out, or Saquon on a swing pass with a blocker in front. On the Ravens side, they're going to run Tampa 2. With this in mind, everyone from NFL quarterbacks to a dude sitting at home playing Madden should know the flat corner is going to get drugged down, opening the boundary behind. Snap the ball, and the moment Jahan Dotson clears the backer, the slot machine jackpot noise should be going off in Jalen's head. Instead though, once again, not only does he miss Dotson, but he is late to Paris Campbell underneath, and even if this ball isn't batted down, the timing is so off that both backers can get there. The very next drop back, almost identical concept. Covey comes in motion, goes underneath, and Dotson fills in behind. This time though, Marlon Humphrey goes in motion with Covey, indicating man, but the Ravens are in fact running Tampa 2 again, meaning if Jalen reads it correctly, he'll have the whole shot to Dotson. Instead, the Ravens disguise fools him, resulting in a very dangerous ball to Covey that nearly ends in 6 the other way, all while Jahan Dotson, and I hate to sound repetitive, is wide open on the boundary. These aren't things he's doing every once in a while. They are consistencies in his game at this point that are difficult to break without the reps. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Jalen Hurts has simply been terrible, but he, along with the entire offense, feels like you're cold starting an old car and have to wait a good amount of time before you can actually pull out of the driveway. As the game goes on, he gets more and more comfortable. That is, until the Eagles inevitably realize Saquon can carry them to a win, leaving Jalen with these large gaps between throws, resulting in the whole process starting over again. This isn't something they can allow to continue to happen. Kellen Moore needs to figure out how to keep Jalen in that zone, because right now there are way too many inconsistencies in the passing game to do it. There needs to be a balance that Jalen can allow himself to flow into. The Eagles aren't going to waltz their way through the playoffs on the back of Saquon and the O-line. It's the 21st century. When push comes to shove, the team with the better quarterback is going to persevere more times than not, which is a huge reason why no matter what he does at any point, he could have 150 and 4 picks on the day. If you give Mahomes the ball with a chance to win the game, you're not getting the ball back. As for Hurts, out of timeouts, a minute 30 left on the clock on your own 25. Do you trust him to get you in a field goal range? Right now, that's just something I'm not super confident in, and unfortunately, it was a no-brainer only 2 years ago. Can they turn this passing game around quick enough for it to matter in the playoffs? Definitely. Jalen is still extremely talented, and anyone saying otherwise is just arguing in bad faith. Only time will tell though whether they will run through an injured Detroit team, as I believe they should, or flame out in disappointing fashion.